video, we will be looking at Iran's ancient Masonic Ziggurat square, where we see the Jerusalem Temple Mount, outer wall stone rectangular window frame flanking the entrance door, dual stone axis of the book of Genesis 49th chapter and 8th verse, fourth son of Jacob, who entered into ancient Egypt according to the book of Psalms 105th chapter and 23rd verse as the fourth son of Jacob amongst the 12 sons of Jacob, where we currently see him today as he's couched down in front of the Isaiah 19:19 Giza pyramid. When we view the Giza pyramid from a helicopter, we see 1, 2, 3 grouping of square pyramid bases. When we look at the Dome of the Rock second wall area level in Jerusalem, we see the stone rectangular window frames having a 1, 2, 3 grouping of pyramid squares. Now, they are seen flanking a central Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure that's located in modern Lalibela. Now, when we return back to Iran's Masonic Ziuggurat square, we see ancient faces of African prophets and gray alien Elohim of the Jerusalem Temple Mount. We also see 3 fingers and 1 thumb gray aliens and elongated headed African ancient of days face of the first Adam. Genesis 1:26, elongated headed African Adamic race. This is why when we look at the aerial view Masonic Ziggurat square in Iran, we see a square, a sideways orientated square with the tip pointing down, and the lower part of the square and the upper part of the square tip is pointing up. Now when we draw an X in that square and let the X break the perimeter of the apotem lines of the square, we have decoded the Dendera ceiling calendar in ancient Egypt, which is a circle that has an X emerging out of it. Now when we talk about the X and Masonic square of the Giza pyramid square base, we see the astrogeometric emblem of masonry. Now the Masonic emblem is generated from the Iranian Masonic Ziggurat square. Now when we talk about the Iraq U.F.O that landed in Iraq in 2014, we see ancient African prophets' faces upon the outer surface of the Iraqi U.F.O, along with gray alien Elohim faces. When we connect the Jerusalem Temple Mount, original elongated headed African ancient of days face of the first Adam, to gray alien and Elohim extraterrestrial guardians of our entire solar system, we have decoded the Masonic square of the fourth son of Jacob, who's referred to in the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible as the Lion Sphinx of the tribe of Judah. Now when we look at Iran's Masonic square, it points to the Jerusalem Temple Mount octagonal building structure that has the golden dome. It's referred to as the El Sacra Mosque. Now it's directly be in front of the rectangular building structure that has a gray dome that's referred to as the El AQSA Mosque. Now the El AQSA Mosque, when you look at the wall, you see a step. Now this step appears like 5 steps or 5 blocks you stack on top of one another that they form a step that you walk upon. Now when you look directly at the wall of the El AQSA Mosque steps, you see the Babylonian stele pyramid globe earth Mercator projections. Now that means when we look at the area viewed Iranian Masonic square, we must first identify a square section in 5 separate areas that forms a step. So this is how it is so easy to identify Iran's Masonic square and connect it to the Jerusalem Temple Mount, outer wall stone rectangular window frames. My recent archaeological, theological, and astronomical discoveries, Laurel Smith of Chicago, Illinois, nonprofit home video and artworks creations, has uncovered the gray extraterrestrial guardians of our entire solar system, as they appear in the biblical will within the will like U.F.Os in which prophet Ezekiel saw in the Old Testament. Now, the gray aliens with 3 fingers and 1 thumb appears upon the back of the Al-Aqsa Mosque wall, C1 wall area. Now, the African lion Sphinx face appears on the back of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. So when we rediscover the black African couching lion Sphinx of ancient Giza, Gaza, Palestine, Ethiopia, and Jerusalem being connected to Iran's Masonic Ziuggurat square, we see an X and a square. When we look at the Egyptian pyramids from a helicopter, we see a square base. Then we see the 4 triangular slopes converging at the apex, which is the apex is the center of the X. So if you draw a square on the blank sheet of paper representing the Isaiah 1919 Egyptian pyramids in Africa, you just draw an X in that square. And that represents the looking down upon the Egyptian pyramids. That's the Masonic square, of course, the base of the pyramid. Alright, now when we look at this Masonic square appearing in the Dome of the Rock outer wall stone rectangular window frames, flanking its entrance door, we have decoded the endgame message for our entire solar system. Now this is the lion Sphinx that was denied in theological racism by the 1611 King of England, appointed 72 Greek and Hebrew scholars to translate the Let My People Go story and the Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls within the Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls that was found in the Qumran cave. Now, when we look at this African lion Sphinx endgame message, it deals with the dual stone X's within the stone rectangular window frame, one below the other. The endgame message for our entire solar system. Now, when we connect the lines of the 2 stone X's that appears in the Dome of the Rock octagonal building structure that has the Golden Dome in Jerusalem, when we connect the lines of both dual stone X's together, the resulting image is an inverted pyramid shaped U.F.O, a pyramid pointing down, generated from the first stone X. Okay, and now the second stone X is generating a cube. So that's the end game message for the entire Jerusalem Temple Mount. It was left there by a black man called the Lion Sphinx of ancient Giza, Gaza, Palestine, Ethiopia. So when we look at the Masonic Square in-game message in Iran, we're looking at a sideways orientated Masonic Square. Now, that has an X emerging from the center out, breaking the perimeter of the square. Now, when we look at the Dome of the Rock, outer wall, stone, rectangular window frame, we see a sideways orientated Masonic Square. So you say, well, what's the message? Well, it goes back to the first rectangular window frame. Up on the octagonal building structure in Jerusalem that has the golden dome. So we're talking about the Dome of the Rock message left by a black man that ruled over all the 12 tribes of Jacob. Now, before the illegal name change, that's read in the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible in every Bible in America. Before the illegal name change in theological racism by the Greek conquerors of Egypt, Giza, Gaza, Palestine, and Jerusalem that wrote the English Bible, their theological racism denied the black African lion sphinx in front of the Egyptian pyramids, facing east toward the sun, throne of God that returns in the cube crystal city structure of New Jerusalem. So before the illegal name change of Jacob into Israel, which totally wiped out the black African lion sphinx in front of the Egyptian pyramid history in the King James Bible. So this is theological racism, how the Caucasians that took over Africa illegally applied the illegal name change, which wiped out the lion sphinx of Judah, scriptural reference in Genesis 49 chapter and 8 verse, the first book in the King James Bible. So what was this theological racism that denied the black African lion sphinx in front of the Egyptian pyramids? Okay, this is theological racism carried about by Greek and Caucasians that conquered Africa, okay, and wrote the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible. So you say, what is theological racism? It's racism carried out by a group of Caucasians that came from the Caucasus Mountain area of the North Pole of the ball-shaped earth. So these Caucasians wrote the English Bible purposely in theological racism after studying the Islamic Aramaic Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, this theological racism was strengthened in the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible against the black African lion sphinx of Judah civilization, kingdom, in Giza, Gaza, Palestine, Ethiopia, and Jerusalem. So, this theological racism that brought the English Bible about, no one ever told the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible thumpers in their neighborhood church that their Bible is based on theological racism against a black man couched down in front of the Egyptian pyramids.